Autumn 2015 in the busy city of Lyon, France. One man landed the biggest trick down a stair set in skateboarding history. But how did we get here? Skateboarding has always been about progression, pushing what we think is possible to a new level. From the very early days of carving streets and bowls, to low-level obstacles, through technical tricks, and all the way to iconic spots like Wallenberg. And now we're into the 2020s. It feels like every major spot has been leveled up to the maximum. And that is, apart from one. In the large city of Lyon, carved into the concrete jungle, lies a monstrous 25 set, believed to be around a 15-foot drop and a 22-foot gap. Many probably passed this spot thinking it was physically impossible, and to most it simply would be. And so the spot lay dormant until Ali Boulala blew the minds of every skateboarder across the globe, ending his part in Flip's iconic Sorry video with a huge bail down the Lyon 25, becoming the first known skater to attempt this huge spot. But unfortunately, Boulala never actually rolled away, leaving the spot unconquered.
That was one attempt, and it kind of fucked me up, but maybe.
But it certainly left its mark on a 12-year-old boy from Arizona. This young man was Aaron Jaws Homoki, the protagonist of this story. Jaws grew up to be a professional himself, notorious for his huge gaps and bone-crushing drops. Lyon is a spot that very few have the mental or physical capability to conquer, but it seemed like Jaws had exactly what it would take. And skateboarding continued to push boundaries, as it always had, but Lyon still left silent for 12 years, until 2014. When Jaws made his first attempt. Unfortunately, Lyon wasn't about to be tamed that easily. On a particularly heavy landing, Jaws' board immediately snapped, leaving him with a torn MCL.
Yeah, so I just got back from the doctor, said that I tore my MCL. It's completely torn, and it's going to take about 6 to 8 months to heal. I know I can do it, so I definitely want to go back.
Lyon had bitten back again and taken its second victim. It was beginning to look like, as many had probably thought before, that Lyon just wasn't physically possible. Both who had had the balls to even attempt this spot had left with pretty major injuries, but there really was only one way to find out if Lyon was truly possible. So with that in mind, Jaws made his second trip to Lyon in October 2015. This time, Jaws came fully prepared. With the experience of his previous attempt, he took even more precautions to avoid similar injury, wearing a number of protective pieces on particularly vulnerable parts of the body. This time, Jaws knew exactly what he had to do, grabbing his board mid-air as to not lose it during the huge hang time. A number of times, he landed on his board, but was thrown violently forward on impact. He was so close to the impossible, but then it was snatched right from his grasp. Security arrived and the spot was barriered off. Maybe this was the end of Jaws versus the Lyon 25. But he didn't come all this way to give up that easily. Permission was finally granted for Jaws to return to the spot on the 12th of October, 2 days after he'd been kicked off. But just like Jaws, the spot wasn't willing to let him walk away victorious that easily. Jaws took many heavy impacts again, one even shearing the wheel off its axle under impact.
Never seen that before.
He had come so close. Maybe this was possible after all.
Oh my god, I can do it though! Yeah! I can do it!
And sure enough, he finally rolled away. Legendary skater Tony Hawk called it one of the greatest feats in skateboarding history. Over a decade after this spot was first brought to the world's attention, it had finally been conquered. But will anyone conquer it again? Well, so far, nobody has. And maybe it'll take another decade before somebody does. More recently, freerunner Dom Tomato sent an absolutely massive front flip and amazingly didn't obliterate his ankles. And just last year, French skater Aurélien Giroux attempted to add his name to this very exclusive list. Unfortunately, the Frenchman suffered a very similar fate to that of Boulala back in 2002. Perhaps it's only a matter of time before he returns, just as Jaws did.